Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 live on Channels Television, Lagos. A reminder of our top stories now. Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to conduct supplementary elections in 44 polling units in Adamawa State on Thursday, March the 28th. President Muhammadu Buhari laments rising cases of building collapse in Lagos, threatens to deal with anyone who compromises standards. Central Bank of Nigeria slashes monetary policy rate from 14% to 13.50%. First cut in over 2 years. And Algeria's Army Chief of Staff asked Constitutional Council to declare President Abdelaziz Bouteflika unfit to rule after weeks of protests. ChannelsTV.com has more information for you, and on YouTube.com/channelsweb you can watch our videos. You can also watch us on your mobile device via your browser or download the Channels TV app for Android, iOS and Windows devices from their respective stores. Besides giving you access to news and updates on the go, the Channels TV and Channels 24 app have an eyewitness feature that you can use to share those pictures, videos or news of happenings around you. Just install the app, then tap and swipe to reveal the menu and follow the instructions. Let's stay a little further with building collapses in Lagos. The lack of comprehensive subsoil investigation before building designs are done and lack of effective monitoring by relevant government agencies are some of the factors identified as causes of building collapse in the city. These issues came to the fore at the public hearing on collapsed building at Itafaji, Lagos, organized by the Lagos State Ministry of Fiscal Planning and Urban Development to proffer solutions to recurring issues.
The spate of building collapse in Lagos Island is calling for more concern. And now, some construction engineers in the Lagos State Ministry of Physical Planning and Urban Development, the State Emergency Management Agency, Lagos State Materials Testing Laboratory, and other stakeholders are here to proffer solutions to the lingering issue. The chairman of a committee investigating cases of collapsed buildings in the state sets the ball rolling.
This occasion is for us to interchange ideas. We are to learn from you, and you too, you are to learn from us. Because there are some aspects of things that we take for granted in building industry.
And the state government.
Then the floor opens for presentations by different groups.
We match the corona sequence into to identify the family, the number of dead and injured, and the massive street build.
Next is the general manager of LASEMA, and he gives his report on the job done so far.
We have taken the last 1 week to get the camp in better shape. And I can assure you today, we have a camp that is comfortable, that is ready to receive them.
Engineers express their view on the matter.
Carry out post-occupancy evaluation of buildings. We have identified what is wrong in all this is just the lack of using the right profession.
After all recommendations made, the chairman of a committee gives his final word.
We assure you that we will use our various experiences, both from the professional level, at the government level as past administrators, and now we are outside. We know how things look like. We hope that we will do our best.
It is expected that all recommendations made will be put into good use to check the quality of structures built in the state and also avoid building collapse.
The Central Bank Governor, Mr. Godwin Emefiele, has been speaking on how the reduction of the monetary policy rate from 14% to 13.5% will impact the nation's small and medium enterprises sector. Speaking at the end of a two-day meeting of the Monetary Policy Committee in Abuja, the Apex Bank Governor assures that the committee will continue to monitor the activities of commercial banks to ensure full compliance of the new rate. To further boost growth in the economy, the Central Bank Governor called for the redebasing of the nation's economy, which was done over 9 years ago.
It's the second meeting of the Monetary Policy Committee for the year 2019.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen,
Expectedly, members of the committee are on hand to brief journalists on key outcomes of the meeting.
Of a monetary policy.
First, Central Bank Governor gives an overview of how the international market has fared and its impact on the nation's economy.
The non-manufacturing PMI increased by 58.5 index points compared to 58.4 in February 2019. The increase in both measures of PMI were driven by increases in production, employment, raw material inventories, and new orders. This improved outlook was attributable to the continued stability in the foreign exchange market, various interventions by the bank in the real sector, and the effective implementation of the economic recovery and growth plan by the federal government.
Next, the governor of the Apex Bank reels out the considerations of the committee. These include a stable foreign exchange regime and external reserve, but recommends more lending to the real sector, as well as improved revenue generation drive.
Having been on this path, particularly the MPR at about 14% since July 2016, and with the relative stability we've seen in the macroeconomic variables over the last 2 to 2.5 years, we just think that this should be the next phase where we should begin to be talking about consolidating growth. That this should be the next phase where you will stop talking about how do we create more jobs and reduce the level of unemployment in our country for people. We believe this should be the next phase where we should be talking about how do we diversify the base of the Nigerian economy.
so clearly.
And thereafter, he states the decision of the committee, which includes the retention of monetary policy rate at 13.5%.
And to welcome you.
The committee projects a 2.7% growth for the year 2019. This, hopefully, will create room for socio-economic development.
Well, joining us now on the news at 10 is the CEO of Financial Derivatives, Mr. Bismarck Rewane, to further look at this issue. I want to thank you so much indeed for joining us on the news at 10. What, in your view, has informed this reduction of the MPR by the central bank? This is 6 months after. When you look at the timelines, is this coming at the right time?
We could have done it much earlier, but it's better late than never. But it's a prudent move. It's a wise move. And what the central bank said is that this is a signal. It's not directionally, it's positive. Nominally and nationally, it's not that impactful. So why did they do it? That's the question, right? What they've done is to reduce the rates by 50 basis points, but maintain all the other parameters. So the whole idea is that it should be a stimulant to ensure that credit goes to what they call the real sector of the economy. But the point is this, that credit at this point is price inelastic. People are not lending because they are risk averse. Well, let's go back to why it was done. It was done because to support growth and employment, the global economy could be heading to a recession, and the US Fed is leaving rates unchanged. So basically, inflation has declined to 11.3%, and the MPR is higher than the inflation rate. In other words, they are positive real rates. Now, credit to the private sector is growing at 6.41%, which is below the target of 9.41%. And money supply growth is within the CBN range. But there are some risks. What are the risks? The risks are borrowing cost of government is excruciating, and the debt service is 68% of revenue. So by doing this, you help this. Now, growth at 1.9% is below population and full employment threshold of 3% and 6%. Unemployment and underemployment is 23.1% and 20.1%. And gross capital formation is low. But what does all of this mean? The impact of this is this. Now, normally, right, in efficient economies, you look at inflation expectation rather than historical inflation. What has happened is that the Monetary Policy Committee has looked at the historical inflation at 11.3%, while inflation expectations, in our own judgment, is going to be higher. And why do we say this? We say this because if you look at what we are projecting, tomatoes currently is 7,000 naira for a 50 kg bag. is going to go to 7,500, which is about 7.14%.
Increase.
Gari is going to go from 6.15 to 6,650 in April and May, which is about 8.13% higher. Beans is 20,000 naira now. It's going to go to 21,000, which is 5% higher in April and May. And the new yam right now, which is 800 naira, is going to go to 900 naira. Why do we say this?
Is this the reason why the president says this going forward is going to be really tough?
Yes.
When he made that statement.
Definitely. The future is hard and the challenges are there. But the truth is that the impact in the next 3 months, we're going to have the minimum wage review implemented. We're going to have the commencement of the planting season. And we're going to see M2, which is money supply growth. And diesel price is 230 naira per liter. That's
These are forecasts.
Yeah.
It's very probable that we'll have an increase in the petroleum pump price.
I don't think so. I'm not sure. But what we can see, there will be movement in the petroleum prices. Sometimes it will reduce. Sometimes, so there could be volatility. But what we have seen is stability over the years. But that is not sustainable. Something is going to have to give at one point or the other. If the world price of oil comes down, then we'll see a drop in the price of petrol. But if the world price goes up, then we might have to pay more. But what's the impact of this? The impact of this is that inflationary pressures will build and expectations are negative. Also, the stock market, normally when interest rates come down, the stock market actually appreciates. So we'll see a stock market that will appreciate. We see Naira will come under some pressure because of this, because of the oil price weakening. Lending will not increase because loans are price inelastic. And the outlook, GDP growth for Q1 is going to be at about 1.8 to 1.9%, which is reasonable, but it's still below the threshold. We need to grow 4, 5, 6%. Naira will come under pressure. Portfolio investors will not leave. So I think to that extent, there's some external imbalances will be reduced. Supplementary budget is likely because we need to accommodate all of these things as we go into a new fiscal dispensation. So in all, March inflation and April inflation might inch up a little bit, and the stock market will move positively. So in general, it's a prudent move, it's a wise move. The options are, but could have done this a year or two ago.
Where then does this place foreign direct investment?
Foreign direct investment is looking for predictability and stability of policies. Foreign direct investment wants to know that contracts can be enforced. Foreign direct investment wants to know that that there's sanity in the policy-making environment. Now the elections are over. The sentiment is now for work, and the future looks much better. So, quite frankly, this monetary policy will reinforce the fiscal policy. The fiscal direction is for growth, for investment, and actually to make the lives of Nigerians better. That's the hope, and that's what we'll be working towards. And this monetary policy move is a prudent and a wise move at this point in time. It could have been done much earlier.
I must thank you so much indeed for talking to us. The CEO, Financial Derivatives, Mr. Bismarck Rewane, always a pleasure having you talk to us here on Channels Television. When the news at 10 returns, Nigeria's Liquefied Natural Gas Limited signs $1 billion content plan for NLNG's Train 7 projects with Content Development Monitoring Board. Join us again.